guys, and welcome back to Dimitra's Dishes. So Ekmek Kataifi is what we're making today, and it's been requested many times on this channel, as far as my and on my Facebook page. And it's not something that I ate growing up as a kid, but I did have it at a really nice cafe that I sat and had desserts and coffee with my cousins in Crete 3 years ago, and it was in Crete. It's called Kukuvaya Cafe, which means owls. And it overlooks the city of Kenya. It's beautiful. It's on the side of a mountain. And I ordered this dessert, and it was so delicious. I thought I literally have to learn how to make this when I get back, and I did. We added it to the menu at the restaurant, and it's a huge hit. It's very delicious. I believe Turkish people make this as well, and it's pretty popular in the Middle East. I have a kandaifi recipe on here, and I'll put the link down in the card section that pops up above. With you should always check out when you watch my videos. But really, what it's made with is with kandaifi dough, which is like a shredded phyllo. They're like long, stringy strands of dough that are very delicious, and we cook them in butter, and it's flavored in a honey syrup. Let's go over the ingredients, and we're going to get started making this. It's a perfect dish to make when you're entertaining, perfect dessert to make when you're entertaining. And you can do it in a few different ways, and I'll show you both ways. It's very simple to make, very easy. You just need a few things ready ahead of time. You're going to need some pastry cream, a double batch of my pastry cream, which I'm also going to put the link to in the cards up above here, so check it out. You're going to also need homemade whipped cream, which is also very simple to make. I made it so many times on this channel. That's going to be in the link in the cards above. So you're going to need whipped cream, pastry cream. We're making a syrup with some sugar, honey, and water. We're going to do that after we put this in the oven. Now, as far as garnishes go, I'm using sliced almonds today, but salted pistachios that have been pureed, actually chopped really coarse, are fabulous on this because the salty and the sweet go well together. But you can top it with walnuts or whatever your favorite nut is. You're going to need some melted butter. And pretty much that's it. That's really all you need for this. Let's start with our kandaifi dough. I have my oven preheated to 350 degrees. You want to make sure that that's ready. And another thing, the kandaifi dough is usually found in the freezer section of your supermarket. If you shop at Middle Eastern grocery stores or Mediterranean grocery stores, you'll find it there easily. You want to make sure that you defrost it in your refrigerator overnight, and then you leave it on your counter a couple hours before you use it. So when it comes to like room temperature, it's much easier to use than if it's really cold. So what we're going to do is we're just going to open it up, and we're just going to try to separate the strands as much as we can. This is where you get the kids involved. You're just basically pulling it just like that. The lighter you get it, the better it's going to be. Now, you want to take your melted, unsalted butter, and I have a ½ pound here. But don't worry about the ingredients because the recipes with all the exact measurements are always on the website. And that's it. We're just going to pop this in the oven for about 35 to 45 minutes until it's all golden. It's going to smell delicious in your house. I'm going to put this in there, and I'll show you what it looks like when it comes out. So while the kandaifi dough is baking in the oven, we're going to get started on our syrup because it's going to get soaked in the syrup, and that's where all the sweetness is going to come from. So I have about 3 cups of sugar here that I'm going to put in my saucepan, cup of water, and we're just going to let that come to a boil. Once it comes to a boil and all the sugar is dissolved, then we're just going to add our honey. Now, I highly recommend using Greek honey with this if you can find it. It's delicious. I've never had anything like it. It has almost like a caramel consistency and a really delicious flavor. But you never want to add it in the beginning while you're making your syrup. You always, once it's done and dissolved and came to a boil, we're just going to add a cup of it to here. And it's just going to give it a really nice aromatic flavor. Okay, so once it comes to a boil, just like this, and all the sugar has dissolved, turn the heat off, and then just pour the honey in. And just give it a nice mix. And just like that, your honey syrup is ready. Now, the only thing that you need to do is you want to make sure you cool this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get a big bowl, fill it up with ice, and just have this sit in here while the kandaifi bakes. You never want to add hot syrup to a hot dough or cold syrup to cold dough. One of the two has to be cold and the other one has to be hot. So we'll cool the syrup and then we'll pour it over the hot pastry once it comes out of the oven. So my Ekmek pastry dough just came out of the oven and it smells like buttery goodness in here. What I did while it was baking, I put my syrup in an ice bath, which is basically just a bunch of ice in a bowl that's bigger than the pot that we were using, and then I just add a little bit of cold water and it cools down the syrup really quickly. What I also did was I mixed my pastry cream because I made it yesterday. I wanted it to be ready and one less thing for me to do. When you make pastry cream the day before, or even sometimes a couple hours before the morning, whatever, it gets kind of thick and clumpy when you go to mix it. So all I did was I just took a mixer and I just mixed it until it was nice and smooth. Sometimes if it feels like it's too thick and it's not smoothing out, you can add a couple of tablespoons of heavy whipping cream, until it smooths out. That usually does the trick. But what we're going to do is we're going to pour our honey syrup that's cooled. You hear that sizzle? That's what you want to hear. We're going to pour it over the kandαΐφι, which is nice and golden on top and smells so comforting and good. And then we are just going to, with our fork, just kind of help the syrup absorb a little bit. Just pull it just a little like that. And for a little while it might seem like this syrup is way too much, but the pastry is going to absorb all of it and it's going to be the perfect amount. And then what you want to do is sprinkle it with lots and lots of ground cinnamon. And it's going to smell like baklava in your house. Perfect. We're just going to leave this alone for about an hour and let it sit and just absorb all the syrup, and then it'll be ready to put together. So once the syrup really fully absorbs into the pastry, then the color of your dish changes as well. Just kidding. So I already did this ahead of time, so we don't have to wait here hours and hours for it to, it usually takes about an hour for the syrup to really settle into the pastry, but I already did this ahead of time. You can do this the night before or even a few days before. That's the beautiful part of this dessert. Now, traditionally it is prepared in the same pan that it's made, kind of like family style or buffet style, whatever you want to call it. And I'll do that and I'll demonstrate it that way first, and then I'll show you another way to serve this, which is really pretty, which is the way I had it in Greece. So I'm just going to pour my pastry cream. Again, this is a double batch of the recipe that I have on my channel, on this channel, as well as on the website, because you need a lot of pastry cream. Even though in Greece sometimes they serve this with ice cream, you could do that too, if you're doing individual portions, of course. Now, we are just going to pour this and spread it completely across. Just like that, simple. And then traditionally a whole other layer of whipped cream goes on top, but I'm going to do little rosettes. So I'm just going to fill up my pastry bag here, and it has a star tip attached to it, but you don't need a star tip. You can just have a regular plain round tip or whatever you have. If you don't have a pastry bag, go ahead and get one of those, a Ziploc bag or a plastic resealable bag, and just cut the tip off, and that'll work as well. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, where each serving would be cut, I'm just going to make a little rosette. You can get 12 really nice servings out of this. Just like that. And then I'm just going to take a little bit of cinnamon and sprinkle it on top of each rosette. And then we're just going to garnish it with some sliced almonds. But again, you can use chopped salted pistachios, you can use hazelnuts, walnuts, whatever you have. Just like that. And then this is how you would serve it family style. You can put a nice spatula and then just go down with a knife. So you can just mark each portion with a knife. Let me go down and mark one that I'm going to cut out right now. Let's go in with the spatula. Look at that. Beautiful, delicious, syrupy, creamy goodness. I'm gonna take a little bite. So good. My God, this is so rich. Definitely a decadent dessert, but one that you want to try. This is one way to serve it, and let me show you another way to serve it. So now you can do little individual sized portions. So the way you would do that is you would take already prepared kandaifi. Same thing, I did the same thing. It baked, I poured syrup on it, sprinkled it with some cinnamon, and then I just left it in my refrigerator, or you can just pretty much do this right after the syrup kind of gets absorbed by the pastry. Another batch of pastry cream right here. Now, all we're doing, we're just gonna make, it's almost like a trifle. Then the bottom layer is gonna be the kandaifi pastry. And then we're gonna do a little bit of pastry cream. Like that. And then we're gonna decorate it with a nice whipped cream rosette. Some cinnamon. And some sliced almonds. Isn't that beautiful? You can make a bunch of these in any size or any little container. You could do this in little cups and little teacups and little trifle bowls like this. I think it looks really pretty either way. Go on the website www.dimitrasdishes.com. Get this recipe. Check out the cards on top because you'll find the pastry cream recipe and the vanilla whipped cream recipe and direct links in the description box down below. Let me know what you think. Show me your comment down below. Let me know what you want to learn how to make next. Share pictures with me on Facebook and on Instagram. I'd love to see your recreations and how you did it. I like to see different ways how you do it and serve it and all of that stuff. Tag me in the pictures. Thank you very much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, everyone.